So I ran the third lesson of pickleball, and just want to talk about this. SMU has this fitness blast they incorporate into each one of their lessons that's separate, doesn't even has nothing to do with their lesson. It's like a fitness circuit with burpees and jumping jacks. So we didn't do that in our first two lessons because we didn't think it was necessary, but Mel kind of was emphasizing that we should do something like that. So for this lesson, we did a fitness blast at the start of our lesson with just a fitness circuit of 7 stations with things like crunches, burpees, jumping jacks, just things to get the heart rate in. Which I don't necessarily agree with, but Mel was really, she really wanted us to do something like that. So then we moved into a King's Court, a pickleball King's Court. We had 14 students, which worked out really well because one court they could just play against each other in singles, and then eventually work their way to the final King's Court.
Explain what you intended to happen in your lesson.
Well, this was a kind of culminating activity, which was our pickleball King's Court, which was played in doubles. We introduced doubles at the end of the second lesson, and just very briefly at the end of the lesson, and kind of re-emphasized this in this lesson. Also, we did a little check for understanding at the beginning, or after the fitness class, but before the King's Court, of the rules and the boundaries and the scoring system. So yeah, the reason we did King's Court is at the end of the second lesson, students were really adamant about when do we actually get to play. So we decided King's Court would be a good way without not so much like a tournament where there's a record and stuff, but having the opportunity to knock off the Kings off their court. So I thought that was better than just doing like a tournament with records and stuff.
Students do like winning.
Oh, yeah.
Like although we say that we don't want to call people winners and losers, that challenge where they actually having this kind of materialistic win makes them motivated and stuff.
And the King's Court was a really good way of doing this, especially since we had the 14. So whoever had lost the round before, they would go down and they would work on their skill in playing singles. But no matter what, they got to leave the last court and move up and have another opportunity to keep going. So that way, nobody's stuck.
No one's staying in the bottom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's nice. And the nice thing is that we had a small enough group that nobody had to sit off for while in the rotation. So that is really nice.
Just continuous playing. That's
Yeah.
great. Just great.
Which is great. So how did your actions as a teacher promote the learning environment?
Well, since it was King's Court, there wasn't a whole bunch of feedback to give. We kind of wanted to let them play, use the concepts of time and space in a competitive environment, which was actually pretty well done.
Yeah.
And they were even applying risk and force as well in their
which we haven't touched
shots.
on yet, which was awesome to see. We kind of assessed their skill level a little less than what it turned out to be, which was fine. So yeah, we weren't getting much feedback, but I remember this one situation where it was on the King's Court, obviously. There was a bit of a rules issue. So the students, they were having trouble with how you start the game, where you serve once, and then after that they get the next team is served twice before it comes back. So that was I kind of played a bit of an official there. It was great to see the kids were really competitive and really happy to be playing. So as soon as we got that ironed out, they went back and played, which was awesome. But overall, not a whole bunch of feedback to give for King's Court.
Mainly with a lot of encouraging and then maybe disagreements, like is it in or is it out? If we were standing and watching, we were able to let them know and to just keep the play moving, keep it going.
Yeah, little cues to let them know that you're there and present and still watching them play their games is really important. So they don't hide. They're not just hiding. They're still there and active as teachers.
And yeah, even when we did that, like if we were circulating the courts, but if we were at one court and we happened to see a good shot even across the gym, we used that cross-court communication and just said, hey, like, that was really well done the way you did that. So that was nice.
That was the last bit. So what did the students learn?
Well, this was our culminating activity, so in the end, we wanted them to learn the concepts of time and space, and they actually ended up learning a bit of force and spin and wrist, which we didn't even wasn't in our intention, but was great to see. We also wanted to make an environment where it was challenging, but everybody was still having success, and if they're having too much success, we modified the constraints so that they would be being successful but still challenged as well. Was there anything else you want to touch on to that? No? Okay, good.
How do you know learning happened?
Well, very similar to what I was just touching on with the concepts of time and space, and so we were able to see that learning happened because they were applying that in a doubles setting, in a competitive setting as well. So that's really the way we're kind of able to assess that what we were trying to teach did actually happen. And as I said before, they were actually taking risks, which we hadn't explained yet, and they were actually kind of figuring out how to play doubles strategy-wise, because we didn't touch a whole bunch on that, right? But they were able to figure out that when you're defending, it's kind of in a line, and when you're serving, it's kind of like that, and that kind of stuff they learned on their own, which was great to see.
And if we were to continue the lesson, we'd probably start touching on that in the fourth lesson, double strategy and single strategy, and how you can really challenge your opponent to create a good game.
Yeah, they were not only able to at the end produce the skills that we taught, but they understood when and why to do a volley or to do a short or a long shot. So they were able to really adapt to the situation.
Yeah, I think the why is a really big key as well. So like we talked about, even on the midterm exam, is what is the difference between a technique and a skill? And if they know when they can and why they were supposed to use a certain technique in a certain scenario for them to gain an advantage in a game, then they can start to become more skillful with their techniques and in their games in general. And hopefully that skill can encourage them to want to get better and better, and maybe play pickleball in the community or until they're 70 or 80 years old, which is what's so great about pickleball, I think.
So just an overall reflection of how I thought my lesson went. Although Mel preached this fitness blast at the start, I'm not a huge fan of that. I believe we can get the heart rates elevated through either a warm-up game specific to pickleball or just playing pickleball, which is just what we really thought we were doing. But just the fitness blast we still had to do, but in my future teaching I didn't do something like that. Overall, I thought the lesson went really well. I think by this third lesson, I was able to learn some of the kids' names, and we were interacting and having a little more fun than maybe being so like teachery. So I thought that was really good. I thought the students actually were really engaged and were having fun while still learning the concepts we taught them. And at the end, we had a little discussion period with them on what we could have improved and what they liked. So we thought that was a good takeaway for us as well.
Something I think we can all work on, and something I feel almost uncomfortable with as a teacher, something that I want to work on, and I don't know about you guys as well, but when a student is goofing off or a student is hitting the ball after you say, all right, everyone, not hold your balls or grab your balls, but everyone bring your equipment in, and a student still throws the ball into the bin or hits the ball away.
Better disciplining.
How do we deal with that instead of just saying, "Hey Felix, what? You can't do that," and actually just singling that person out? How do we instill the sense of teamwork and the necessity to actually understand why it's important to do these things, and how do you do that in a classroom?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Also, I think once we have our own classes, we'll be able to establish those routines.
So. Yeah.
But I don't feel
and
as
once you
comfortable
know the students a little better, I think it is easier, because there was in the first lesson or even the second lesson, there was a couple who maybe looked the same, and I wasn't sure if I had the right name, so I just didn't say it because I didn't want to embarrass the kid or embarrass myself by saying the wrong name. And so once, I think it comes with a little bit more familiarization with the students as well, to be more comfortable.
The more you say it, though, then you'll be like, okay, now I'll remember next time.
Yeah.
I don't know who was mentioning it, but someone mentioned a key strategy that they use is in the classroom is that every time or at the beginning of a class, getting a new class, they would just stand in front of the door and greet every kid. Hey, good morning, Sarah. How was your class?
Right.
Or how was your day or something? Just actually saying it out loud actually helps. So.
Yeah, overall great. We had a
it's
great
good.
experience.
Fun,
doing that.
yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yep.
It was fun.
It's good.